Now we're on the last band of streaks, and I have to be very careful to make sure I get the measurements exactly. Otherwise, we're going to have some wider pieces and they're going to look odd. So these streaks need to be all exactly the same. And the errors, which we had told you, there was a little error here, a little dip. You have to make sure that we spread that dip so that it becomes not noticeable. We have cut the piece again using the same method of a modified cardboard strip, which is then transferred onto a piece of juniper, extended, and then we take the measurements. We have all the measurements of the model, and so now we are applying these measurements as we go along to make sure that we get everything correct. So here we go. We're installing number 8, and I've been trying to fit this piece. So again, you've seen me do this a number of times, so I'm not going to go through it. So I've got a pretty good bend. There's a slight kickback, very slight kickback, but that's enough to hold it in place. 0.385, which is about 17 and a half, 18 inches. And so we've got our mark. And then we're going to take the marks. 0.20 is roughly 10 inches coming through. We've established the marks on the piece, and now we're going to cut the top line to make sure that, again, when we come, we have a nice even spacing of the planks. You'll notice that I have numbers here, and then I have numbers here, and I even have numbers here. These are numbers taken at different points in time, but I've used the tick strip. Again, each time I install another piece, you may find there'll be a slight variation from this number or this number. So again, whatever the current distance is, which is, again, taking a tick strip, put it on, in this case dividing it by 3. I write it down there just to make sure that whatever the mark is that I make on the piece, that is absolutely accurate in terms of equal spacing. So you can see we have a fairly strange looking plank, because it's taking all the bits and bends that this previous plank has given us and the space, but now we've got really a perfect fit, and when we lock that in there, that's going to be just spot on. All that's left to do now is to pencil in the edges and the sticker. Well, that really looks fantastic. See a very slight pinching here, but a very even line as we prepare for the last 2 streaks. So we have to make sure that the measurements are exactly the same, and when we make up the pieces, that it's exactly the halfway line. So that's what we're going to do. So in a scenario like this, there's no holes barred. We need to get a nice tight clamp. So we're actually jamming the piece down using these wedges. And then we've heated it in place, and we're going to leave it to set so we get a real nice shape on the hull. And then we'll put the final shape in. We've massaged this piece so that now we have a fairly good idea and a lovely fit here. But if we look at the line, medium line, the halfway line between the 2 pieces, we see it's all over the place. So what we want to do to make it easier to install this last piece is really put a straight line from this edge to this edge. And so that's how we're going to reshape the piece. And so we've drawn the line, and we're going to shave it down to that. What I find so interesting is no matter how careful I was, I've got a little dip here where the two pieces joint. And the only way, again, to have a nice clean piece for the shutter plank is in fact to carve this joint in and not try and put it in with the clamps. So that's what I'm going to do now. My last little trick to try and get a little more room on this piece here is having bent it so it's now in shape and holding the shape. I put a straight edge on the piece, draw a line, and then shave down to that line. And it's opened up this space, which is going to make it much easier to fit the shutter plank. As you can see, we're just waiting on strake 7, the last piece of strake 7 to dry. And then we're going to be working on the shutter planks on both sides. I'm not sure whether it's a shutter plank or shutter planks, which is just the last one. Of course, in Trinidad, we don't drink whiskey, we drink rum. So I'm going to break my non-drinking 5-year pledge to myself and sprinkle some rum, some nice old wonderful Trinidad rum on this boat when I put in the last of the planks. I've been working on this piece for about 15 minutes and I finally got a perfect fit. So again, I'm just going to show you what that looks like. I was worried about this, but I've done it quite a few times already. You're always worried because you know it's going to be a piece that's twisted all over the place. And then once you take your time and shape it, shape the bottom first, then shape the top so you have the two matching surfaces, and then decide which side you're going to bring one side down or the other. Normally it should be the side that is the flattest, the side with the least amount of bumps or hollows, simply because it's easier to do that. Again, I'm very liberal on the glue. All PVA glue because it's a nice tight fit. I don't need CA to hold anything in place. In fact, if it's done correctly, you don't even need clamps to hold it in place. Again, first time I'm putting glue on both sides of the strake. So here we go. So here is the bow template that's been making these other pieces, and it's a perfect fit. So that means it's going to be very easy to fit this piece, certainly on the bottom. I've been looking forward to this day for a long time. This is the completion of the practicum that David and Greg outlined to us in the book. And I know there are some of you who are not happy that I have planked up all the framing and the internal works, but that was the exercise, and the purpose of doing these videos is in fact to go through the planking exercise as defined by David's excellent paper, which you can find on the Admiralty model site. So the only thing left to do is for me to christen this work. And some of you may or may not know that I was the marketing executive of a rum company called Angostura. And for our 175th anniversary in the year 1999, we produced a very special blend of rum. It's this is bottle 5, so it's one of 5. I'm not sure where the other 4 are, but this is the last one which I've kept. And so I'm going to toast, instead of whiskey, the finest rum in the Caribbean, made by Angostura, to this wonderful model, to this wonderful practicum. And so cheers, here's to the whiskey plank.